Did you swap to a, oh, okay.
All right, we'll call to order this regular session meeting of the Park City School Board on November 16th at 4 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. Anne, would you like to lead us?
I will.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I am going to start this meeting with a statement on behalf of the board. In addition to the statement that we released yesterday, we think it is important to acknowledge that there have been some questions related to the public health order at Parley's Park and the school's initial response. While we acknowledge this and we are conducting a review of the process, we have been advised not to make any further public comment on the matter. Please rest assured that we will continue to work closely with the state, county, and health department as we continue to prioritize health, safety, and open schools. Thanks. And in addition to that, I do want to make a statement that I have personally been in and walked through every school. Last week I walked through Parley's and Trailside. This week I have walked through Jeremy, McCulloch, and Ecker to ensure that compliance, if the mask mandate is to trip at any of those locations or has. Perfect. All right, we are going to move on to the consent agenda. Accept a motion to approve the consent agenda that includes regular session minutes of October 19th, accounts payable registers of October 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 25th, 26th, 27th, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 8th of 2021, annual financial audit report, land, trust, and TSSA amendments, personnel information, October expenses and revenues.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's move on to our employee groups. Mrs. Morgan, would you like to join us?
Greetings. Hello. Good evening. PCA leadership, Mary Morgan, Jake Job, and Phil Negocian met with district administration, Dr. Gilday, Dr. Sorensen, along with Park City School Board leadership, Erin Grady and Wendy Crossland, to discuss the mask mandate at Parley's Park Elementary last Monday. A conversation ensued in which all parties felt heard and respected. In addition, Summit County Health, district admin, and board members were at Parley's last Monday to support teachers and students, help cover shortages where needed, and ensure the mask mandate was being properly implemented. The same support has been in place at Trailside as they went into a mask mandate this week, and a commitment to safety and support for teachers and students has been clear from the district, which does not go unnoticed. Thank you. At any time the mask mandate needs to be implemented in the future, there is a clear plan in place, and the expectation is that all students and staff will comply with the order. PCA would like to thank our district administrators and the Park City School Board members for their meeting last week. All parties were encouraged and will continue to work together to ensure we have another safe and successful year. We continue to work collaboratively as well on the Educator Evaluation tool, the sub shortage, and the bullying policy, and we appreciate the opportunity to work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for meeting.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Dr. Hunt, would you like to join us?
Sure.
I know it can be hard to hear, so if I get muffled, give me a thumbs up so that I'll know to turn up the volume. I have a brief report today, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot going on in our schools. But since it's November and it's the month that we celebrate Thanksgiving, I thought that it would be the perfect time to recognize our education support professionals. These crucial staff members play such an important role in the education of our students and in their lives, both inside and outside of the classroom. They keep our schools running, they keep our students safe, healthy, and ready to learn every day. Just to give you some idea about some of the important roles that our support professionals fill, let me just give you a list of some of the responsibilities that they perform. They are academic and behavioral support in classrooms. They provide clerical services, custodial services, maintenance services, food and nutrition, business services, technical support, transportation, skilled trades, and before and after school programming. Quite a list, isn't it? I do want to share a little bit more though about before and after school programming. Our before and after school programming is really top notch. Students that participate in those programs have an abundance of age-appropriate opportunities to participate. They get support with their homework, they can engage in enrichment activities, learn a new hobby, socialize, and participate in community partner-sponsored events. This year, we added before-school programming at McPolin and Parley's elementary schools. We started at a manageable size, about 20 students, and we continue to grow with requests at McPolin. This demand has not been as robust at Parley's Park, but we continue to let families know the services available, and we adjust our programming to meet community needs. I'd like to acknowledge Todd Claridge and his team for their tireless effort to provide excellent programming and services for our students before and after school. I also want to update the board on the continued implementation of our new science texts in elementary schools. Teachers began using a new text called STEM Scopes for science instruction this year. It's really unfortunate that this implementation happened during the year where we're experiencing issues with COVID, because we are still waiting for a shipment of textbooks that have been in transit since last summer. We figure they're probably sitting in Long Beach on the dock. Nonetheless, I was very pleased this last week to be able to visit one of our 5th grade DLI classrooms at Parley's Park, and I noticed that during the lesson they were still using materials and moving forward. They were using a model that created the interaction between mountains and waves, or they were calling it the geosphere and the hydrosphere. So I appreciate that our elementary teachers are providing these phenomenon-based lessons that give students an opportunity to ask and answer scientific questions, to collect data, learn concepts, and to draw scientific conclusions. Finally, I'd like to inform the board of the planned activity that we have in support of our instructional continuity plan, or our emergency learning plan. That will be held on Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. This day was scheduled long ago when we wrote the ICP the first time, because we wanted to have specific times during the year that we would practice what would happen in the case of an emergency and in our ability to be able to continue to provide learning. So those days were scheduled right before spring break and right before Thanksgiving break. So on this day, on Tuesday, our school leaders will ensure that our teachers are still familiar with the ICP and that they lead at least one electronic lesson during the school day for the students that are there in class. The purpose of this in-school but e-learning activity is to make sure that our students still feel comfortable logging on to the correct LMS and accessing learning activities and resources on their computers. It's always good to practice protocols and to ensure that there's uniform understanding of what would happen in the event of an emergency or some other need to begin to learn remotely. So it's busy, but it's going well. So can I answer any questions for any of you?
No. But I would like to say thank you, because I know you and your team played an integral role in ensuring the compliance of all the schools. So thank you guys. Good time.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Tanner. Are you ready to do your little dance that you learned today? Can we go on?
I've been practicing, but it's not yet ready for this. Well, good evening, and this is the board operations update for the 16th of November 21. Start a little bit about talking about COVID and some situational awareness for you. The county is in high transmission index, as you probably know. The numbers are fluctuating pretty wildly. We're in formal incidence growth, and the numbers are trending upward. We don't know if it's a Halloween spike, post-break spike, or if it's just a general spike that's happening right now, but it's trending upward. The school 14-day case counts. Treasure Mountain's at 3, McFallen's at 6, Jerry's at 9, Treasure's at 12, Park City High School is at 14, and Parley's and Eckerd Hill are at 14 also. It's giving us a total of 72 as of 6 p.m. last night. I think we'll add another one at least at Treasure today. District-wide, that equals about 1.36% of the combined student and staff population. As a contrast to the last board meeting when I briefed it, we had 12. We've got 72 now. So obviously, a pretty big increase. Parleys and Treasure, as you know, or I'm sorry, Trailside are in mask mandate through 29th of November. Eckerd Hill has sent a notice out that they're approaching their numbers. Summit County Health Department has been in all our schools along with admin walkthroughs and our board walkthroughs and no issues with compliance. I just want to assure everyone that we still have all of our layer mitigation strategies in place with a special emphasis on enhanced mitigation that's very similar to the worst that we had last year, the more stringent that we had last year in the schools that are experiencing high pushes. Park City School District testing clinic is at the high school for our students and staff from 7:15 to 9:15 daily. And that was put together to give us an outlet for our students to get tested prior to showing up to class and possibly spreading some virus. Test Utah also supports us on Wednesdays from 10 till 7 p.m. in the high school parking lot. Vaccinations, as you know, are available for 5 to 11-year-olds now countywide. The uptake, as we understand, is a little slower than the county had hoped for. And the administrative team, the board, the county, everyone has spent countless hours to make sense and to gain understanding of how case counts should be reported. We're completely in alignment between the CDC, Utah Department of Health, Summit County Health Department, and the school district, and all of the numbers that we're showing now are accurate. And we'd like to concentrate on moving forward at this point. From a buildings and grounds perspective, we met with vendors to talk about some additional UV sanitation towers. We have 4 in the district right now. This is a local vendor based out of Salt Lake, but they're going to be doing a manufacturing facility in Heber, bringing 200 jobs, and they've got a nice product. If we can find a way to work them into our product offering, we will. We're also taking advantage of the warm weather to accelerate our outside air exchanges to bring in as much fresh air as we possibly can to help out and reduce viral loads. And the FY23, if you can believe it, capital budgeting process is underway, and we hope to have that done probably by the beginning of the year. In transportation, they're really having a tough time with manning there. Their manning level is critical. The office staff is often being tapped to drive regular routes, and all of our extracurricular transportation needs have been outsourced. The recruiting efforts, of course, continue. We have 1 candidate that's identified, should be moving into the pipeline for training here soon. To help us with this effort, we're trying to shorten the training footprint as much as possible. Still, of course, being safe, but more towards the industry standard to help move people through the training pipeline. We also have a procedure manual that's under development there of transportation, and it's on time to be released for first of the year deadline. COVID protocol is in place in all of our buses. We have 2 per seat. Masks are strongly recommended. We're still fogging them at night. We have been receiving some pressure from the public for relieving the Space A constrictions that we have now. We're not allowing space available unless the bus can support it. As the vaccinations come in line, the parents are saying, hey, why can't we go Space A on the buses? So we'll reevaluate that here in the near future, and if we can make buses safely available to our people, our community, we certainly will. Child nutrition services are reported to you for the first time in about a year. They were fully staffed, and I'm here to tell you tonight that they just lost 2 people. So back to where we were, and so a recruiting effort is underway for those folks. And John is doing a great job delivering quality meals to our kids despite supply chain issues that are causing frequent and creative menu workarounds. Human Resources is still struggling with supporting department leaders and filling open positions. They're looking at ways to combine 2 part-time positions into a full-time position, where we hadn't done that in the past, and so some of that's going on. And also, while Utah qualifies under the federal mandated vaccines for employers greater than 100 in the schools, there are currently, that whole concept is under litigation and challenged by several state governments, and we have no indication that USB is going to be requiring that as of now. From a security perspective, we've got the first security committee meeting of the year tomorrow. 10 o'clock, we'd love the board members to come. If you want to come for the first hour, that's probably where the meat of the presentation will be. We did complete the door open notification software that we promised. It's installed at all the schools. We're fine tuning that right now. And we've already discovered some doors that were heavily abused at the high school, and we're putting oral warnings on those doors if somebody props those open and the alarm goes off. I wanted to give you a quick update on the master plan and progress there. This will become a standing item of briefing for you each month. And we also hope eventually, as we move into the construction phase, to possibly have a website posting of the progress of the Gantt charts and what we're facing in terms of timelines and all that stuff. But it's moving along really nicely. We've got a great team in place. Our owner's rep, Mocha, is working with our design build teams of MHTN and Hogan and DCDO and Hughes. We really think we got the A team in place on all of these, and we're working along well together. Regular reports from these meetings are being produced and are being reviewed by our owner's representative, Mocha, and the school district to make sure we're moving in the right direction. Initial designs are starting to emerge from the concepts that we provided for the architects. And each one of the buildings that's being touched, the building leadership at this point is being engaged to ensure that we're providing the right emphasis for the buildings. Big issues, macro level issues, such as where are we going to route the buses during construction, are our food service facilities the right size, is CTE spacing being adequately addressed, and the realities of our sites. So we have a high water table, rocking soils, all that kind of stuff is being looked at right now. As this process starts to refine down, our teachers will be engaged for their obviously very important input. And the student council and Earth Clubs are also being brought into the process, and they were briefed last Friday. We'll further engage the student groups as the projects move from design to engineering, probably in January sometime. The team has really settled into a nice operations tempo, and hope to continue that. We've got good cooperation and progress moving along, and just really good things to report. So that's the master plan update. In front of you, you should have a handout for the Safe Schools Coalition report. This was produced by Hannah Stanford, our peace coordinator. But as you recall, earlier in the year, we had a security incident at Treasure that involved some bullying and a lot of public outcry and internal, outcry from us to figure out the best way to attack and not making this problem happen in the future. So we put together a community team that was about 15 members, and it was staffed by both internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. We've already met twice on the 20th and 28th of September. We had a third meeting scheduled for yesterday, but the lead got sick and we couldn't hold it, unfortunately. But the conversation was facilitated by Mary Krista Smith, the Executive Director of Communities that Care. And very robust conversations resulted in many commonalities and recommendations. And the consensus of the recommendations and next steps are listed there for you. Number one, the school district will create a one-sheet information sheet of talking points to assist the coalition members in communications within their circles of influence. The second item is that the school district will decide upon frequently asked questions from the coalition and develop clear pathways for community stakeholders to reference if they're needed. Third, the frequently asked questions, pathways, and links to applicable policies will help to establish the parent education and community engagement page on the district website. And the fourth, the community coalition members will assist the district in communication of the Safe Schools policy as ambassadors of the information with the broader community. We hope to really engage this group to get out the straight message and hopefully have some of the influencers within that group be able to push a positive message of the district out to the circles of influence. The potential power of this group was really demonstrated in that we were planning last night to shift gears to kind of explain what happened with the whole mask mandate rollout at the schools, and to present the facts, hopefully answer any questions that the community might have, and then rely on those folks to hopefully get the positive message, the real message, out to our public. So that's all I have for you tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
I just have a quick follow-up to that. First of all, thank you. A lot you covered there. Amazing. When is the meeting then rescheduled? Or are you going
It's
to see
TBD
how
right
she
now.
feels? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Perfect. Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Wilson. All right, Superintendent?
Absolutely. As we prepare for another season of Thanksgiving, I pause to consider our current efforts in the Park City School District as well as the work ahead in reaching our community's aspirational vision and mission. I'm appreciative and grateful for the community's broad support of the Master Facilities Bond proposition. The facilities improvements serve to expand and enhance the learning environment for current and future generations of students. As our state, county, and community have increased COVID case counts, we lean on the support of our public health officials and our families in solidarity around mitigation measures to proactively work together to reduce the transmission of COVID within our schools and our community. What I most appreciate within Park City Schools is the evidence of the 5 H's that we see in each of our classrooms and our schools. Together, our community supports and elevates our students, our staff, and our schools. For this support, we are eminently grateful and appreciative. The 5 H's include our head, our academic achievement and leadership. Closing achievement gaps and promoting learning for all children and youth remains a strong driver of the daily work in our schools. Achievement is celebrated throughout the system, and student leadership is a hallmark of the PCSD Portrait of the Graduate profile. Our heart, our social and emotional skills. Fostering social and emotional skills in the social climate for all children and youth is at the heart of our learner-centered organization. Families who are new to Park City School District have noted and mentioned the intentional focus on the social and emotional skills embedded within the school programming and have shared their appreciation of staffing that supports the social and emotional well-being of our youth, such as counselors, outreach coordinators, and social workers. Our hands, working together to support our youth. Partnership and working together with our community organizations provides ongoing communication, collaboration, and leads to student success. Community education, Park City Ed Foundation, Communities That Care, Park City Community Foundation, our Park City Chamber of Commerce, our Youth Sports Alliance, our Summit County Land Conservancy, and the Park City Home Builders Association are just a few organizations that provide ongoing all-hands support to our schools on a regular and consistent basis. For each of your organizations and donation of time and talent, we could not be more grateful. Health is the 4th H. Promoting the mental and physical health of all children and youth remains a key priority of our staff and our schools in partnership with our parents. From the support of the Cook Center for Human Connections to the work of our school counselors, nurses, and social workers, we are well poised to support health and wellness throughout our district. Home, family, and community engagement. Developing and enhancing family and community support for all children and youth is a cornerstone of a highly effective school system. Our families are strong partners to ensure the best possible outcomes for our community's children. For this ongoing love, care, and commitment of time, we are so appreciative and thankful. At this time of Thanksgiving, I wish each of you a healthy, happy, safe, and joy-filled season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Todd, you're in the hot seat.
I'm over
School.
here.
You want to move over there? So
No,
school
you're good.
enrollment.
So school enrollment, so we completed our October 1 counts. They've been audited through the state's process. And the count of students, so this is K through 12, not including preschool, this is K through 12, was 4,592 students. That's 104 students less than last school year. The grades that we noticed the decline mostly in were in 1st, in 6th, and in 8th grades. So we somewhat anticipated the 6th and 8th grade because we're watching the tail end of the enrollment bubble move through. So it's finally leaving Eckerd. It'll finally get out of Treasure in the next couple of years and move its way through high school. What was unanticipated was the larger decline in the 1st grade across the schools, with Parley's Park probably being the largest decrease of about 22 students. So that's, we'll keep an eye on that, see what's happening. But as we look at the forecast, which I think is the next agenda item, you'll see that 1st, 2nd, and 8th moves to 2nd, 7th, and 9th. That decrease will work its way through the grades as we move forward.
So that's where that stands right now. When you look at what are the dynamics, what's moving in the system, what we typically look at is the 12th grade of the prior year to the incoming kindergarten group of this school year that we're in. And that's a fairly accurate measure of what the change is in the overall volume of the number of students in the school system. And so that was about 147 student change from the 12th graders leaving and the kindergarten students coming in. So that's a pretty big number, but our decrease was only 104 students. So we do have net immigration. So we do have students coming in, about 45 students as of that October 1 count. So, so when you talk to neighbors and say, hey, someone moved in and they brought kids, yep, it's happening. What's not happening is that immigration and natural growth is not overcoming that difference between the 12th grade moving out and the kindergarten group coming in. And that's a pattern that we've seen. The demographer had identified that, and that's what is projected out for the next several years, is that will be our case, that we will have larger 12th grade classes and smaller kindergarten classes as we move into the future. And then we'll just have to wait and see what the economy does to see if that changes, see what housing opportunities come into the area as well. Those all will change the dynamics. But at this snapshot, that's where we are.
So it's looking like an average of 100 or so students decrease each year.
So this year,
Yeah.
that's large. Like the year prior was about 61. The year before that was 23. So we're definitely on a decline. This one dipped down a little more than we expected. Again, we knew that was going to happen because something was going to happen with the bubble moving through.
Yeah.
But that first grade story
Yeah.
is the one that we're still trying to figure out what happened. Again, most of that was in the Parleys area. Some more students out of Jeremy and some out of Poland.
Are open enrollment kiddos counted in, or does this just mean we affirm?
The October 1 count doesn't ask for residency. So if it's a student enrolled in our system, they count. We get funding for them because they're here.
Okay.
So that is in the numbers. So any other questions on what's happening for this school year?
Do you guys have any questions? Okay. So we'll move on to decision for open and closed schools.
Great, so this is an annual exercise that we go through. Under statute, we're obligated to take a look at what our forecast of students will be and how those students will be housed in our schools. We have the opportunity to look at how many instructional stations are in a school, or classrooms, if you will, as well as managing our class sizes. Taking all of that into account, at the highest level, the recommendation is that each of our schools will be closed for the next school year, so for the 22-23 school year. Some are really close to the numbers, so there might be some issues with late applications coming in as we get right up to August and September. But at this time, the recommendation following the statutory guidelines would be to close the schools. Now, be aware you're not obligated to close. You can manage the schools however you want to, but under statute you have that opportunity right now. And that's our recommendation as an administration. If you want, I can get into some more details, but that's the high level story there. Again, we're going to watch a decrease in student enrollment. So, so we at 104, we're anticipating something of the same magnitude this next school year. So that will impact our budget as we move forward, because that means less WP money coming to the school district. So it'll be a challenging year to make sure our budget's balanced, especially with all the obligations that we're now putting on ourselves moving forward.
So the recommendation is based on administration, what are the high?
What are the
A few
factors that come
summary.
into account?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do
So
you
the
think
factors
about
are what is the projected enrollment for the
Okay.
upcoming year,
So-
and so we've done that exercise. And that'll be about 4,490 students. So that's where we start, and then we look to see where will those students be housed in the school. So what we have to do is do a computation of what is our average class size this school year. So you have a table on there. I've provided you with the average class sizes of the schools, and at the grade levels or at the subject groupings. So that's the next piece of information that's taken into account. And then the next piece of information is how many instructional spaces will be available for regular education. And so when you multiply the average class size by the number of stations that are available, that tells you what the capacity of the school is. And then we compare the capacity to what our projected enrollment will be. And that's what will determine whether a school is open or closed. Now you'll see two numbers in that first table on page 1. One is the maximum capacity. So that's what I just described. You take your average class size times your number of instructional stations. The threshold is 90% of that number or 40 less than that number, whichever one is higher. So the statute doesn't make you go right to the brim and fill the school right to the brim. There's a little bit of cushion because students move in the course of the year and things like that. So that's what you're looking at there. So the max capacity is the math calculation in statute. The threshold are those not gaps, but the cushion that we have in those enrollments. And then you compare that to forecasted enrollment.
Okay. And then the recommendation is because we're close enough to the threshold
So
that even despite numbers going down.
yes, so the question is before you today because December 1st is the early open enrollment period. So you have to make a determination before December 1st so that applicants know whether schools are open or closed. And that will then dictate our processing of any applications that do come in the course of the year.
Those come in rolling.
People move in,
Yeah.
people discover they want to come to our
Got
school
it.
district, and the
Got
things
it.
happen in the course of the year. But this is setting the stage for that December 1 date that schools are closed, and so we're not anticipating applications. But it is an action of the board to make this determination. Otherwise, they're assumed open.
Todd, can I ask you a question? So employees of the district that have children need to apply. Is that true?
As I understand the policies that's written, we've asked them to
Okay.
make
And they need
application.
to do it between December 1 and February 3rd.
To be considered in the early open enrollment, yes,
Okay.
that would be the window that they would want to apply in.
Are you making that crystal clear?
Yes.
I don't know why I'm looking at you.
I will
Yeah.
answer
Oh,
that.
are you making it?
Yeah, I will actually answer that, yes.
Okay,
I've
thank
had
you.
conversations with Dr. Sorensen and PCEA. So I'm sure that that is happening.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, so I guess at this point, do you guys have any further questions for Todd before I put a motion out there before? Okay. So I'll accept a motion to move forward with the recommendation to keep the schools closed for the 2023 year.
22, 23.
22, 23.
I make a motion to keep the schools closed as stated.
A second.
Perfect. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will move on to policies for posting. Can I get a motion to post the following policies? Policy 2025, electronic board meetings, policy 7130, sick leave, policy 7165, educator evaluation, policy 10005, entrance age.
I make a motion to post policies as stated.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Andrew?
So 7165, educator evaluation. That's the one that's being reviewed by PCEA, correct?
So PCEA and HR, Jan's back there, if you'd like him to speak to it, I'm sure he'd be happy to, because he's been working on this since he got here. This has been a 3-year process and program to align the evaluation system to the statutory categories and all of that. But yeah, the PCEA has been a strong partner in the development, and go ahead, Jan, if you have anything else you'd like to share.
We've just had a great opportunity working both with PCA committee members as well as leadership. They've all been involved in the process as well as working with teaching and learning. And the great thing about this evaluation policy is it's tied to our teaching and learning framework. So it's moving towards the new task evaluation system will not be in place any longer, and it will really facilitate enriching conversations between the supervisor and the educator, which we think will ultimately benefit the students.
And does PCEA agree with all of the proposed changes in here?
Yes, and she kind of alluded to that in her
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah, she mentioned it, but I just want to make sure. All right. And we'll make sure that they have an opportunity to comment on this once it's posted.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Any
That
other?
was it.
That's it? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous? All right. We have a few minutes until public meeting, until comments. I think you asked to take a break, quick break, so take a quick 5 minutes. If you are here to speak to the board, there's a blue form up here that I need you to fill out and to please give to Ms. Pierce over here at the end. And we will come back in just a minute.
Tons of stuff on the side. Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. You mind? Don't you remember that?
Yep.
The motion to close schools, I'm not sure really what that was about. You might have found it.
Yeah, so each year under statute, the board is required to assess
I see, so the closing was a metaphor, not physically.
It's close to personality.
Right here.
Favorably minded about the context switch. Go to the city project.
How are you?
Yeah, I mean,
I think so for me.
I don't know that.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Hey, Erin. Hello, Mrs. Abbott. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay. I hear you, okay, I'm aware.
Hi, Bob.
I can't believe they're thinking about doing that. Four out of the five.
Yeah.
You can just give them the floor.
Yeah, sure, I'll get that. Okay, I'll see you there. Along with a whole bunch of those.
Yeah.
I can't make tomorrow's meeting, but I'm gonna have some regular people that are attending.
The regular
It's still a working session with public comment, but a whole bunch of people are fired up and we're going to attend tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if agenda item.
So I don't need to say that.
Hey, Wendy. Hey, Dr. Joe.
Hi, Gilda. The
Go ahead.
agenda item for public comment, do we have to put, we're putting on there the topic that we want to discuss? There, or do we need to fill that out?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't need to?
Huh? Whatever.
Little agenda,
You can put
just put a
whatever.
topic.
You can just put.
With regard to
Yeah, changed twice in 1 week. I saw you two girls this morning walking to school. They're still eating lunch together every other day. Cracks me up. Were they late? No, they were on time, but I noticed that Lillian doesn't drop them off at school anymore, she makes them walk.
Yeah, because they're all late. It's not just Lily's fault. So I've been telling them, go to the high school. We usually start at the high school every other day.
Oh, okay.
And then just make them walk.
Yeah. I
So
saw
they
them.
won't get late.
Well, we're kind of.
She used to drop them off, but they're all late.
Yeah, our
So it's just
timings
her
worked
fault.
out, we're gonna see each other pretty much.
Funny, none of them are working.
Well, my pencil was. The problem with leaving them upside down is you need to store them with the head down to the work. Most kids. And they're all upside down. That's the board. At least the building's looking more things too. Yes.
All right.
I agree.
You're okay with it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
110%.
For sure.
Yeah. That's why I just came over.
Thank you.
She has good accessories. My daughter.
Oh, she drives.
So you just pass that one down?
She does, she has all kinds, she has some.
Oh, you're gonna have one picture? Okay.
Yeah.
She has ones that are like leopard print, she has, it's all fashion.
Okay, that's fine. Actually, I have an order of the way that I want them, so I will leave it here. All right.
You can handle, that wouldn't,
Okay, bring us back into order. All right, I'm going to take this down because I'm going to read a bunch for a second. The Board of Education wants to hear live input from community members at our meetings in order to respect and preserve the time allotted. Each presenter on the agenda, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Speakers representing a group will be limited to 5 minutes. Anyone with concerns related to items listed on the agenda may participate during the public portion of the meeting. However, the public comment portion of the meeting should relate to district matters and agenda items versus a platform for personal or political statement. This is not the place to address personal matters or a complaint. If you wish to address the board, please read and complete the blue public comment sheet on the table by the door and give it to the board clerks. So if anybody has not, each speaker will be invited to the rostrum to speak in order in which the form is received. Please state your name clearly for the record. The Board of Education expects that all public comments will be polite, respectful, and accurate. Please refrain from specifically identifying personnel. Personnel issues are not appropriate for public comment. Therefore, such comments will not be allowed. This includes the superintendent. We will make sure that the right person will be responding to the comment for which the appropriate area after you have submitted your comment. Anything submitted via email will be posted on our website and submitted with, and responded to with comments from there. I also made a comment at the beginning of our board meeting, and I feel like there were quite a few of you that were not present, so I'm going to reread that statement. In addition to the statement we released yesterday, we think it is important to acknowledge that there have been some questions related to the public health order at Parley's Park and the school's initial response. While we acknowledge this and we are conducting a review of the process, we have been advised not to make further public comment on the matter. Please rest assured that we will continue to work closely with the state, county, and health department as we continue to prioritize the health, safety, and safety in open schools. Thank you. All right, I will start with Brad S.A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, board members. I'm Brad A.C., President of the American Federation of Teachers Utah. Also represent members of our union here in Park City School District. As a union, we are troubled by the recent events surrounding the lack of enforcement of mask mandates by district administration. This is just one example of a systemic lack of transparency from the school district that our constituents have witnessed throughout this pandemic. Communication has been lacking when employees have approached school administration to share their concerns and give information about case counts and safety measures that should be put in place to protect employees from exposure to COVID-19. Often employees are directed to speak to the district because it's quoted out of the school administration's hands. When employees do reach out to district officials, their inquiries are often ignored or deflected back to the school administration. We've also been told that it's out of the district's hands and concerns and inquiries need to go to the county health department and or to the state. We believe it's time to stop passing the buck. District administration and board members have the obligation and ethical duty to be transparent and take action when it comes to the safety of employees and students. That promise is contained in the Park City School District vision statement that assures safety and health, which has been quoted here today. It's time to give clear answers, honest information, and do so in a timely manner. If this doesn't happen, the school board and district are at risk of losing any confidence that may remain in the school communities and with the public at large. As a union, if this doesn't take place and improve, we'll consider an unsafe working environment that puts employees' health and lives at risk. Thank you for your time.
Can I just respond real quick? The notion that is been in the public and it was reported on that we were not in compliance with the state and county health code is incorrect. And that is a fact. And that fact is backed up by the 4 inspections that were done by the county health department. And we have reports of that. So anyone who believes that we were in violation of the county mask mandate, or that there was anything around that, that's simply not factually correct. And I just want to clarify that because it is a popular narrative right now. We've received a number of emails upset with that notion, and rightfully so. Had we been in violation, had we not been following the county rules, I would say that people have the right to be upset. But to imply that it's an unsafe work environment, or to imply that we were not following county state codes, is simply not the case. So I'm sorry you didn't have perfect information, but happy to clarify that now.
Well,
Thanks for
we'll
coming.
take that into consideration. Thank you.
Yeah, please do.
Ann Evans.
Do you prefer that I sit down or?
Yeah, join us.
You're more than welcome to sit. Yeah, sit.
Sit?
Yeah, it's up to you if you prefer to stand.
It feels strange putting my back to all these people. It's okay. Hello, my name is Ann Evans, and I have a kindergartner at Parley's. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to first acknowledge that it takes courage and commitment to serve as elected volunteers on a public school board, so thank you. I also appreciate that you are parents and you care deeply about how to protect your own children
and to inspire in them the values you wish to see as they grow. In each role, the responsibility you have is immense. You are stewards of a sacred trust, the one your own children put in you, and the one your community puts in you to serve their children well. But on this second measure, you have broken that trust. Over breakfast 2 Mondays ago, I delicately explained to my kindergarten daughter that school would be different that day. I told her that some kids in her school were sick, and to be safe, everyone would be wearing masks to take care of each other, just as most of us are now. With wide eyes, she looked up over her cereal and solemnly nodded that she understood. At the end of the week, I was stunned to learn that the health order had not, in fact, been carried out, allegedly at the superintendent's knowing direction. And despite clear communication to families about what they could count on. I then had another difficult conversation with my daughter. But Mama, she asked, why did the principal and my teacher say that the parents could decide? Aren't all of us supposed to be wearing masks? That she had to ask this question, that she had to question the sincerity of the adults in charge of her school, breaks my heart. It's comforting that Parley's is now doing what the district and health department originally agreed to. But this relief does not alleviate my bewilderment about why this happened. My concern is not dominated by my opinion about masking. Instead, my concern is about something more fundamental. It's about trust. Not enforcing a legal health order when you said you would, and leaving hundreds of, I'm not finished, and leaving hundreds of families misled for nearly a week defies what our school leaders should embody when making decisions about our children, whom we entrust to you. Without trust between the school board and its constituents, between the superintendent and the community, our relationship as partners cannot be effective. Can I have a little more?
Again, I appreciate your comments, and you are correct that had we not followed the mandate or had we ignored it, there would be a trust issue. What I would encourage you to do, if you have a trust issue, is look to the people who told you that we were in violation and that we were ignoring it. And perhaps the trust issue is better served asking them why they said that. Because again, we have letters from the county and we have letters from the health department. 2 of us here have children at Parley's as well. We have a vested interest in making sure that the kids at Parley's are safe. I understand your frustration, but again, the mask mandate was followed. We were up to code according to the county. So you guys can choose to believe what you want, but you can ask the county and the county health department, and they will tell you the same thing, that there was no violations and no of the mask mandate.
That is not my understanding.
That's okay. You can ask the county health
Does
department.
everybody here agree with that? What he's saying?
Our statement that we read at the beginning about that week being reviewed is where we
being
stand with
reviewed.
that, and we can't.
So you
because
all
it's under a
agree
legal matter.
that you are in compliance with the health order from November
The county
1st
health
through November
department,
5th?
the county health department has made that statement.
Okay, I don't want to take up more time, but I
Thank
think
you.
there's a lot of disagreement there.
That's fine, you can ask the county.
Okay.
Alyssa?
Just to preface this, I am basing my statement on the assumption that yes, as of November 8th, when the county showed up in the school, you were in compliance. However, the county showed up in the school on November 8th because compliance was called into question for the previous week. So just a preference, that's where I'm starting out as. My name is Alyssa Olson, and I'm a parent of 2 children at Parley's. Thank you for providing the opportunity to comment today. I'm very disappointed in your initial failure to implement the health order as written. Regardless of one's feelings on masks, the failure here is the district's blatant disregard for implementing policies as communicated. The order was only implemented when a concerned district employee spoke out, there was significant outcry from the community, and the Summit County Health Department intervened to ensure compliance. If you had legal concerns with the health order, you had 2 months to explore that before the threshold was met. While there have been discrepancies on how the numbers were counted, once the district acknowledged that the threshold was met and notified parents that the mandate had gone into effect, it was your responsibility to implement it as written. Instead, the district directed the school to not implement the mandate while parents were erroneously led to believe that it was in place for an entire week of school. Parents deserve to have honest, factual, and timely information regarding their children's health and safety while at school. Your failure to provide this information not only put students and staff at risk, but also broke the community's trust in the school board and administration to act in a manner consistent with your duties as public employees. Your decision to undermine the implementation of the public health order has significant ramifications. Potential additional exposures mean that children miss school and have their education interrupted. Teachers have to put together additional learning materials for students who cannot be in class. Parents have to scramble to manage childcare and work. Exposed students had to miss vaccine appointments. Health department employees who have been working tirelessly to get vaccines into the community so that we can finally stop having these conversations had to take time away from work to be on site at Parley's. We heard from the school board for the first time last night. While the letter highlights that Parley's was found to be in compliance a week after the order should have gone into effect, it fails to mention that had the district acted appropriately, an inspection would not be necessary in the first place. We are still waiting for a clear explanation for why the district directed Parley's to not implement the order as written and to understand why parents were misled. You owe the community honest and timely communication and need to demonstrate that you can and will uphold the duties of a public employee and leader for Park City Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I respond to this? Thank you, first of all, and I appreciate the use of the context. We're going to clarify something. We have made our statement that we are not talking about what happened week 1, and we're reviewing that. We are under legal advisement not to. And that is why we haven't said more. You wouldn't want us, we're public officials, and as the county has stated, it's under review as well, and we're going to wait until they've done their due diligence and not be able to speak on that. That would happen for any legal matter. I appreciate that you can understand that our response right now is based on that.
No, I understand that, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your willingness to hear from us
Yeah,
today. So
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacqueline.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Carey. I am the parent of a first grader at Parley's Park. I also have 2 other children who are going to be Parley's Park students someday. One of those children happens to be immune compromised. So, I, like many families, sent our child to school the week of November 1st, not only believing that the school is under a mandatory mask mandate, but also believing that that mandate was being enforced and properly modeled by staff. You can imagine my shock and frustration to find out that this was not the case. The board's own vision statement states, Park City School District is student-centered with a focus and emphasis on the whole child. Our students are safe, supported, engaged, challenged, and healthy. The district's initial blatant disregard for the implementation of the mandate is a great example of the failure of your own vision. The safety and health of each child at Parley's was not taken into consideration. As a matter of fact, it was disregarded completely. The PC school district has lost the trust of many of us in the community, and I'd like to know the district's plan moving forward on regaining our trust. I'd also ask the board and superintendent to address the root cause of the mistakes made the week of November 1st. As it's been said already, if your team had any questions about the legality of the enforcement of this mandate, why did no one communicate with the health department directly? And then at that point, keep parents 100% informed every step of the way. Why the secrecy if it truly is a misunderstanding? I encourage the district to keep COVID mitigation protocols in place until after the return of Christmas and New Year's break. I'd like to point out that the feelings of myself and many others in the community regarding COVID and our children's health is neither misguided nor fear-based. They are based on education and science. Finally, the district speaks of a reset. Maybe it's time for the reset of the board and the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Hill.
Thank you. I'm Nick Hill. I'm parent of a second grader at Parley's. Firstly, I want to say I am encouraged by some of what you said earlier, less so by a lot of what else has been said. I'm going to touch on 3 core issues. Leadership, trust, and the duty of care this board and the school district has to our children. But first I want to relay what I saw at Parley's Park in the first week of November, after the mask mandate was supposed to be enacted. I was out of town the first 2 days of that week, in England, putting my dad's ashes in the ground. He would likely still be alive today if not for COVID. On Wednesday evening of that week, I picked up my son from Camp Falcon at Parley's and saw that not even half the people there were masked. Thursday, I counted 14 people in the room, only 6 of them masked, with no distancing. Friday, there were still children unmasked there. A full week before compliance was confirmed, with the virus left to run rampant through that school. I think that background is important because that's a perfect demonstration of what will happen if you don't enforce public health orders. We live in unprecedented times, times that require leadership, and the silence from this board over the past 2 weeks was deafening. Because of the messaging relayed to the students at Parley's that week, children, staff, their families, and the community more broadly were unnecessarily exposed to this virus. Now, I know some people, including some here I'm sure, will argue that COVID presents little risk to elementary school kids. What about the ones it does present a risk to? What about their families? What about vulnerable members of the community? My son was born with respiratory issues. What about his right to an education as free as possible from avoidable health risk? Still, nobody has really taken ownership of the decisions that were taken. That it took a whistleblower, media pressure, and direct enforcement from the health department and county attorney for the public health order to be followed, and public outcry to get you to listen to us now is unconscionable. That is an abject failure of leadership. When you all joined this board, you were given trust. Trust that you would, among other things, safeguard the health and safety of our children in school. That trust has been broken, and you have considerable work ahead to regain it. A good start would be full visibility into case counts. What cases are being counted? How can we project numbers for cases that are not being counted? Clearly not all cases are even being tested. And as I understand it, you aren't counting some of those that are, depending on the test itself. That information is vital to our ability to take decisions to protect our children, families, and friends. As parents, we rightly assume the school system will exercise a duty of care over our children. In the first week, a couple more times, may I finish? Thank you. In the first week of November, the school district abdicated that duty. I remain very angry about that, as I know others here do. I want this pandemic to be over. We all want this pandemic to be over. But it isn't, and it won't be until people in leadership positions take it seriously. I sincerely hope we will see a level of leadership that is different in kind going forward. Thank you.
Well, the only response I want to say about the numbers, the dashboard, we are working with the county about what numbers are counted and trying to have a better system so that they're all fluid and it's clear what numbers trigger what, because we understand there's a lot of confusion about that right now as well, and which tests were being counted in the database of the county, and that is all, we're working in conjunction with them to clarify that and hope to have a better visual of that so that there's not so much confusion raised there. And we definitely have work to do there. Got it.
Karen?
Hi, my name is Karen Marcuse. I have 3 children at Jeremy Ranch Elementary School. I did not prepare remarks today because I wasn't exactly sure what I would say until I got here and listened myself, but I think it's important for the board to know that there are parents outside of Parley's as well who are concerned about what happened with the public health order, and who are also feeling like we've been left in the dark about why what happened did happen. And we feel worried because Jeremy Ranch is likely to be, or I feel worried because Jeremy Ranch is likely to be in the same position very soon based on the numbers on the COVID dashboard. And I think it's important for parents to, and the community to be reassured that the school district will follow the mandate that was set out. I understand that you can't comment. I think that is very destructive to the process, because I would hope and believe that a lot of this could potentially be cleared up if comment was made by the district or the board or the superintendent. And I feel disappointed that the only comment that has been made was to say that the mandate was upheld when there has been direct evidence to the contrary. I ask that we be reassured that our children will be safe. My children did remote learning last year, and the irony isn't lost on me that they are less safe this year than they were they would have been at school. Last year, I felt like the district did an incredible job keeping the children safe. And in hindsight, I'd wished my kids were there. And this year, we didn't have the option of remote learning. I sent my kids in person. And I feel like, unfortunately, there hasn't been the same protections in place. So, you know, in closing, this is a law that was put in place to exercise these mask mandates if a threshold was reached, and I hope that that will be observed in the way a law is meant to be upheld. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just respond to quickly to that? First of all, I appreciate the shout out to last year. It's the same leadership, and we didn't change our same goal. So again, it's not that we won't ever have comment about week one. We're reviewing it so we can have comment. We are just following a process that is assuring that it's diligent and properly, I mean, the review of all sorts of correspondence, communication with the county is happening, and that's why we're not commenting. It's not that we won't, and it's not, we're just not going to do that until we have the right answers and accurate ones.
You know when that's expected to be?
That's the, I mean, the county's investigating, so it's not us, up to us. Yeah, but it's on a fast time. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you.
Andrea Buchanan.
I'm Andrea Buchanan. I have 2 kids at Providence Park. I started my remarks too just by saying that, you know, thank you guys for last year. I was so proud to send kids to school and bragged to so many people across the country who I know were remote learning, mostly in Los Angeles. And I was so proud and happy that I lived here and could do that safely. And I'm also on the safety committee at Providence Park, so I'm the person doing like the carpool line most days, which is really hell. But anyways, fun, but you know, cold. And I'm there most mornings, and I heard the announcement on November 4th, and I was gobsmacked. Absolutely freaking gobsmacked. Like, how could this be? Parental choice, you know. So I spoke to the person who made the announcement, and she said it was, you know, came down from the district. And I, you know, to say disappointed is such an understatement. And I understand what you guys are here saying, that you cannot comment and that you followed all the orders, but what we saw was completely the exact opposite. I don't know who didn't follow the orders, but the orders were not followed, period. So that's what I saw it, I heard it with my own eyes. And we just want to know why this happened and a promise that it won't happen again. And an understanding of these numbers. Some article that came out 2 days ago, the whole department saying they're doing numbers, was it 2 days versus 14 days versus, what the heck? We were all so confused. It doesn't need to be this confusing. Like, and if it's a positive test, it's only positive, it's lab results versus, but you can go back into school with a rapid test. Like, last year it was so clear, and this year it is unclear, and it's very scary to be this unclear. I know one family with 6 positives in their family. It's like, this is not over. We're all so sick of it. No one is more sick of it than you all and the teachers and the nurses and the doctors. But parents are sick of it too. We're sick of the mental health. We're sick of the disparate, opinions and the crap it's causing in our community, whether these work or not. We knew they worked last year. We knew what you were doing worked last year. And what we're asking for is for the same thing. I understand that we live in a state that created laws that make it nearly impossible. So that's why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ken? Do we want, Ken? Did anybody want to?
Hi, I'm Kim Abbott. I have a 5th grade boy, Oliver, at Harley's. I really didn't prepare anything either, but I started to as we were sitting here, so I'll just go ahead and say I have also 2 kids at Treasure Mountain in 8th and 9th and a high school junior. So just to start with this whole thing, I said, Oliver, what's going on? Are you guys wearing masks? And Oliver said, of course, we're under a mandate. He just thought I was crazy for even asking, basically. Everyone in his class was wearing it from the start when the mandate was put in place. Honestly, Oliver's chosen to wear masks all year, even on the bus. I've talked to some of the staff after all of this has happened, and they're just sad. They want to keep the kids safe, and they're doing the best they can. I think we just had some issues with the implementation, and we'll move forward. The kids are getting vaccinated now, and you get these little spinners, when you get vaccinated, these little fidget spinner things, and Oliver said everybody in his class is spinning these things. So I know that we're having problems now, but I feel like problem solving, that's going to help, and the numbers are going to start to go down at the elementary level. There's also a never zero chance of getting COVID. People are now getting COVID with masks and vaccines, as we all know. You're taking a chance by choosing to send your kids to school or anywhere for that point in the whole community. The COVID numbers are always a moving target. You don't know who's asymptomatic, you don't know who's been tested, some people maybe even are sick and are not getting tested. I just feel like everybody's trying to do the right thing, and as someone else stated, this comes from the state, and it goes down to the health department, it comes to the schools, and then you have lawyers involved also, so you have all these different people involved trying to work on this, and I really feel that everybody's trying to do the best that they can. I said we have a health department helping the educators. What more can you ask for? It takes a village to do all of this, and we should all be on the same team. Like someone else mentioned, I'm so proud that we have been in school. I always tell people that. I'm so proud of the district, the board, and Dr. Gilday. When I see that our kids have been in school and what was all implemented to keep them safe, Mike Tanner also is just amazing, and we're lucky to have him. I feel Parley's is safe, and as I said, Oliver is so happy. I think that's where you look to see how things are. Ask the kids. That's all I can ask for as a parent. I'm so proud of you guys. I know there's all this negativity, but I just want to move forward and problem solve and focus on doing the best thing we can do. And I think as a parent, that's what I feel like everybody's trying to do. So that's all I have to say. And I thank you guys for everything you do.
Thank you, Kim. Jimmy May.
Hello, my name is Jimmy May.
Hi.
This is a statement in support of the board and the superintendent. The Summit County Health Department used its authority granted by the legislature to make rules intended to protect students and staff. According to news reports, personnel actively prevented these rules from being implemented. These reports are false. They're liable on all of you. The energy invested in these misunderstandings is terrible, and I'm seeing the angst in your faces and your voices, and it's horrible. Not that you're horrible. The angst is, the misunderstandings are, to be clear there. I don't know what's behind this. Our schools are open and our kids are safe because of you guys, and despite endless objections from a whole lot of folks who would have it otherwise. An article in KPCW cites the utter confusion from the county health department. How can you guys be responsible for that confusion? It's just not clear to me. And as reported by KPCW, the health department officials themselves were confused as to the calculation of the 2% threshold, thus leaving even the school nurses at Parley's confused with the reporting methodology. The confusion lasted only a few days. According to as we all know, the park record, Parley's passed muster when the health department came on site and investigated. As I understand it, the policy has been followed every step of the way. The health department and the school district will continue to partner together along with parents to make sure our kids are safe and policies complied with. You guys are responsible for thousands of kids and hundreds of staff. You opened our schools despite vociferous objections and have kept our kids safe. Dr. Jill, you're an educator. You're focused on teaching, learning, curriculum development, 21st century learning that will lead to the success of all of our students. You're not the one who should be blamed for this. It's maddening to hear this. You all followed directives which were put in place to the best of your abilities. I'm saddened by the energy consumed by these misunderstandings. I make a practice of assuming good intent when dealing with people. Much of this would have been avoided if more people had done the same. I'm unsure what the motive behind the hysteria is exactly. I respect the need of parents to feel that their kids are safe. But one thing is sure, many in the community do trust you, the board, and the superintendent. I look forward to working with all of you and all of you moving forward to make sure that not only our kids are safe, but they get the education that they deserve. Thank you.
Hey, Charles.
Hello, everyone. My name is Petra Butler. I have a student in the Park City School District. I am here in support of the superintendent, Dr. Jill Gaudet. I'm also here in support of every member of this school board. Probably because I have a little insider knowledge. Okay, so I am just grateful for the fact that you have an open discussion where this community can come and address the school board. Because in many places in the U.S., that doesn't exist anymore because of problems that have come forward. I also am so grateful for the fact that if members of the community, your faculty, or anybody else has an issue, that they can address the issue with the superintendent, with faculty, with the school board to get that addressed. And when we have a problem, the goal is to address the problem and find a resolution. And I'm so grateful that we can do that here. I think people want to become hyper-focused on certain issues, and while we always want to make a big deal about that, we need to look at the overall good that's being done as a whole in this district. This district should be so proud of itself for the fact that we had school last year, when many, many, many other districts did not. Our kids continued to receive a top-level education, and that is something that this board, this district, and especially our superintendent should be proud of. You have continued to work, Dr. Gilday, to bring top-notch personnel to this school district. We have people like Mike Tanner in our district. We have people like Amy Hunt. We have nothing to complain about in this district. It is simply amazing. And I wish rather than when we hit a speed bump in which people want to focus on, we need to see the bigger picture. We need to stop and we need to think. And yes, if there's a problem, we need to address the issue. But again, look at the district overall. It is simply amazing. And when people say something to the fact that we need a reset with regard to the superintendent or with our school board, I wish people would understand how important to run for an office and sit on a school board is, and how difficult it is, and why many people don't choose to do it because of what happened here tonight. And not only that, how difficult it is to find a top-notch superintendent, which we have in this district. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, and not just to each of you, but to everybody in this school district that continues to provide our students with a top-notch education. Kudos to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to get ready to go into close, but I'm going to say something. take my mask off. I'm gonna take my mask off so you guys can hear me. And I'm gonna attempt not to get super emotional. But thank you, Petra, for ending with that, for Jimmy, for Kim, for the support up here. I am also a parent at Parley's. I have a 5th grade son at Parley's. So to ever question the fact that I would not want every child in every school in this district and every teacher safe is really hard for us to sit up here. I have had so many sleepless nights, as have all of us in the last 2 years, to ensure the safety and the health of our students. We are parents in this community. I have grown up in this community. We moved here, we choose to live here, and we choose to serve you all. And we want to assure you that we also want to make sure that everything is always moving forward in the most positive and healthy way for everybody. I was at every one of those health checks last week with the health department. I did multiple walks through at Trailside Elementary. I was at Jeremy, McPullen, and Ecker Hill today to ensure that if a mask mandate is to go in those locations, that we are 100% ready to go. It is hard when we sit up here and we do not, unfortunately, have the power to mandate masks. We do not have the power to put in test to stay. These are things that have come down from the state level. And we just want to, I applaud my other board members for doing the work and putting in the countless hours to ensure that, again, we are 60 days tomorrow into school. We made it 60 full days without having to shut down the school. Yes, we are human. Yes, things are sometimes not perfect, but we are 110% have the best intent of every one of our children and every one of our teachers and educators and admin and everybody in our buildings. That is our best intent, so that's where I'm going to leave it.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
Well put.
All right, can I get a motion? We'll move to closed session. The board may adjourn to closed session for the purpose of discussing the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. A strategy session to discuss pending or reasonable intimate litigation. I think I need a roll call. And
Do I first move?
oh,
Do I
yeah.
I move
Okay,
to
sorry.
go into
Second.
closed?
Yeah, second. All right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're
What, yes.
Aaron. Yes. I don't even know who you
By the
are.
way, you know what I realized? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
You know what I realized the other day when we were talking about Veterans Day? I went to Chambers. And I was like, I was trying to feel something. I'm like,
I will serious. I ended up making up for that.
I have no interest in that. I've already been sick, everything. So I'm like, yeah, I think so.
Well, 2 weeks ago, well, we did talk about it.
Thanks for being here.
much stuff here. Kind of bad lady.
All right. Wait for Todd to get back in here, and then
Just keep my back on.
I just need Todd to be in here. We'll just get Todd in here. And then-
Is it wrapping? Yeah.
I can tell after. Is he coming? All right.
Yeah.
All right, we are reconvening into our regular session. And we are on to decision of canvass the returns. So, do you need to?
So you want to make a motion to convene as the board
Yeah.
of canvassers?
I'll accept a motion to convene as the board of canvassers for the special bond election.
I make a motion to convene as stated. Second.
All in favor? Any
Aye.
discussion? I guess, sorry, any discussion?
No.
No. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. It's unanimous. The second is I'll accept a motion to declare the proposition to have carried.
Have what?
Carried or have been voted in.
Give me 30 seconds to
Okay.
tell you what you're
Right.
voting on there. So out on board docs now is the certified results of the election. So hopefully you can take a look out there. There were 9,522 ballots that were counted.
Okay.
Of those, 9,139 were actually cast for the bond election. So
Okay.
there are disallowed ballots in the process and the details there. The outcome of the election is that 5,909 votes were in favor, with 3,230 votes against. So the certification is that the bond passed the election. So your motion would be to accept.
Accept the passing. So accept a motion to declare the proposition to have carried.
Okay, I move to accept the motion as stated.
Second.
The proposition as stated.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
That
right.
is unanimous. All right, we will move to adjourn to our next regular session meeting on December 14th at 4 p.m.
Right.
Aye.
Wait, don't you have
Oh, I moved.
Don't you have to?
Until the next scheduled meeting on December 14th at 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Mike's over there looking at me.
Thank you, Erin.
Aye. That's all you gotta say? Aye.
Thank
That's
you
good.
all. Have a great
That's really
evening.
intelligent.